Right, hopefully a notification goes out, because sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. The reason this is called Stormy Stream is because I don't know if you end up hearing it on the microphone, but it's been raining and really windy all day. So, a few branches down here and there. Bit of localized flooding, but only in areas that, are pretty prone to it, not serious flooding. But yeah, so that's the reason it's called that. So yeah, if you hear rain and wind in the background, that's exactly why it's happening. It's because of that. Right, Daniel, first one on. Don't forget to like the stream, everybody. Oh good, a notification has gone out because it's just suddenly jumped to 11 viewers, so that's good. But yeah, I've not got really anything new to show for today, so if anybody has any interesting topics, of course, bring them up. Let's try and avoid politics as usual. But yeah, at my end, that's cool. Have you done a video on it yet, Chris? I think I'd been notified if you had, so I assume not yet, but is it all in good condition and everything? All right, Laser, good to see you on. Jonathan, my favourite is the Avon CT12. That's always the one when I get asked. There's a couple of masks I also really like, but I've actually got a video on my favourite gas masks. If you wanted to see some others, watch that video. Yeah, at the moment, not much really, as I said, going on here, other than a few bits. Sort of, I'm waiting for a few things in the post now. Most stuff's arrived. Annoyingly, there's one thing from America I ordered like back in late November, early December, and that's like the end of the delivery period on that is due within like a week. So if that's not turned up, then I have to message the seller. Unfortunately, I might have to have a refund for that then. But I was hoping the item would turn up. There's still a week to go. I've not had anything, to say, oh, there's an import tax on it. So as long as the scratch comes out, But yeah, I've managed to damage things by accident like that before, where you're trying to do something and you're not really thinking properly about how to do it. Oh, that's very good then. England, Stalker SK, if you're asking where I'm from. Or do you mean more locally than that? But yeah, England. The Polska shirt is just one I got when I went to Poland years ago. Oh, right. Thanks for the donation, no laser. But yeah, if you're off, have a good evening, or it'd be good morning, wouldn't it, over there? But yeah, I'm just trying to think for anybody else. Is there anything interesting to show? I'm trying to think what I was doing recently with stuff. Let me go get the thingy bob over. That's not a very good descriptive word for it, is it? The therapy. Because yeah, I've been using this a lot recently, and it's very good. Yeah, thanks again, Laser. But yeah, so this I'm really pleased with, as I've said before. I've managed to put 22.2 millisieverts on it at this point. So if we assume 2 millisieverts for most people is an average yearly dose, that's 11 years dose on there at the moment. Although I was trying to calculate this. If you had, like, the lowest I've ever seen background radiation is 0.1 millisieverts. Microsieverts even. That's the problem with all these fucking sieverts and things. You get the things wrong, and that's very different numbers. But yeah, so 0.1 microsieverts is the lowest I've ever seen background doses. 0.2 I find is the average, although in a lot of places it's just over 0.2. If you assumed, the yearly average for most people would actually probably be still end up being under 2 millisieverts, although apparently most of the doses, whenever you look, say 2 to 3 millisieverts. But I don't know if that's that they expect some people to be, get a few X-rays per year or something like that. No, sadly, I've not ever been to the US. I'll go at some point, but yeah, so I've had this just over a week now, and I've put 11 years worth of background radiation on it. So that's just literally because I've been testing things with it and stress testing it, and I'm pleased to announce it's still working absolutely fine when all my other Geigers, the modern digital ones don't cope with that. Oh, what, the British Mickey Mouse one? Yeah, that's not bad. Keep it in good condition now, otherwise, that's a shame if you don't. What is the best gas mask? That'd be completely opinion-based. It's like saying, what is the best car? It completely comes down to personal preference, what you need it for, and everything else. Because, like, the most cost-efficient would be one, thing of considering the best, but not if you wanted the highest performance one. Right, Richard? I'll let you know as of tomorrow, Richard, if you're on the stream or whatever, if the welding hood I used today actually protected my eyes. Because at the moment, I don't know, I suppose, until the middle of the night if it worked well enough. Yeah, that's a good idea, Maxie. But yeah, I did the UVC test video today with the welding hood on. And yeah, I'll be finding out soon how well it worked. Yeah, but I suppose, though, still for some people, Chris, because I don't have an FM53, so I can't personally say, you know, how much I'd like certain features, but there's still things that some people might prefer with other masks. Because that's the thing I found with certain masks. There's some masks people like, and I just don't end up liking them when I get them, and then others people don't seem to like, or they think they're average, and it's just, because I guess it sometimes comes down to, like, individual face comfort, you know, how heavy you find certain bits, breathing resistance of certain bits. Oh, Richard, Mike said he's not going to be on Twitch probably most of this week. I don't know if he sent you a message, but he sent me one because said he's got a cold now. I don't know if you'll even be on the regular stream Friday at this point, but I just thought I'd mention it while you're on. I don't think Peach has come in yet, has he? But was this a working decimeter? Yeah, this is one of my working ones. Right, so yeah, that's a working one. What about this one? Was this a working one? Yeah, this is one that still works because it's still at 0 Rontgen. Just because it was one I bought on holiday when I was in Poland, and I'm wearing it today. And I imagine, although they keep changing YouTube analytics, so it's quite hard to look up. I imagine I have quite a lot of Polish subscribers now, but I'm just simply wearing it because it was a clean shirt in the drawer when I put a new shirt on the other day, or as in put a clean shirt on. And I'm not wearing a jumper at the moment. If I was wearing a jumper, you wouldn't see the shirt. Yeah, the one I bought didn't actually say the shade in numbers, Rich. It used like a factor of how darkening it is, you know, like a value, like the higher the number, the darker it was, but not as in like 1 to 11, as in how many thousand times darker than regular thing it was. And it's certainly, like, you can't see normal stuff while you're wearing it. You can only see really bright lights through it, and then they appear really dull. So the UVC appeared just as like a very pale green light in it. But that's talc, Andrew. Wipe it out and don't breathe it in. It's not particularly dangerous, but it's talc, so it is what it is. Well, the filter you got with it, sad Putin, is probably the Polish, it's called the CM3 filter. And if you've got a CM3 filter, I will put this on there actually because I've turned the heating off. The Polish CM3 filter, they're way long since expired. Even if the contents of them are safe, which I don't know if they are or not. The point is, you know, it's still, the filter's not going to do much. The particle protection might still work to a degree in it, but yeah, like with all those things. A comment that just says that you use Hayden on its own doesn't mean anything to me. I don't know if you made a previous comment that didn't show up, but just simply saying that you use doesn't mean anything. Yeah, that's right, Richard. Yeah, because that's the thing with me. If when he lets me know he's not going to be on, I don't wait to see if he's going to be on. I just make sure I watch a film that evening or I'm playing something. I don't know the mask, Eli or Ellie, so you'd have to ask somebody who's more into World War One masks. I don't have any World War One masks other than that PH replica. And I still keep getting people on the videos of the old PH replica when I clearly say it's a replica and like a cheap replica in the thing saying, you got scammed, that's not a real PH, or saying, can you do a test of it? Both of which are kind of idiotic comments. But what is in the Mankung 400 crossbow, the compound? I've still got it. I very rarely use it. It's sitting in the cupboard right over there, buried under other stuff. Just because it's a bit too powerful for garden shooting and stuff like that. Which is something I think I initially said, and a lot of people have said since, that the big compound crossbows, really good if you've got a long range to shoot it, but if you're getting a crossbow for your garden, personally, even £150 is probably a bit overkill. Most people for garden shooting would be better with pistol crossbows or like 80 lb, sort of, you know, £80 sort of things. Oh, if you mean what's the title of the video, what's going on? Rain, sort of stormy, windy weather outside, hence the title of the stream, but otherwise not much. No, I've not got a firearm certificate, and I wouldn't apply for one just because at the moment I've got nowhere where I'd actually shoot something. I don't have any sort of desire to have it. I wouldn't want to have to do all the extra, checks and that associated with it, paying the extra bit on it, as in, like paying whatever it costs per year or per couple of years for the sort of permit thing and all that. It seems a lot of stress for something I wouldn't use very often. So, for some people, a firearm certificate or a shotgun certificate makes perfect sense. I've got no use for it, really. If it was a case of I could literally just go into a gun shop, buy a shotgun like an air rifle or whatever, put it in the gun safe I've got, then I'd probably do it. But when there's lots of other bits around it, there's just no point for me. Yeah, I'd go for the wood one, Peach, personally, because that looked alright. I'd say that, though, I feel my favourite one was the bright red one. Oh, the Fushida F2 is that, Chris? Hopefully it's good, because I really like the A4, so if it's that, just where you can put dual filters on it or swap the filter over and it's got the drinking tube, it should be really good. But the A4 I've got is really comfortable, so... What do you mean by an deactivated AK-style ride? I don't know what you mean by a ride. If you mean rifle, deactivated AK, 200 plus, I imagine. Probably a lot more now, sadly, because of how expensive DX are over here. There is Quentin, but I don't have one. I assume they're pretty rare, because I'm assuming only the first production run was the one that was a direct M9A1 copy, and then... What's my favourite crossbow? Out of all the ones I've got, the one I end up using the most, if that counts as favourite, is just where I got one of the sort of Jaguar style ones, and then put a lower pound draw bow on it, like a 105-pound draw bow. So it's really easy to cock. It's absolutely fine for the distances I'd shoot it at. And it's all pretty well, nicely constructed. In terms of like quality of construction, something like that MK400 is my best one, but the problem is that's just too overkill for the garden. It could be an earlier version, but it could also be a Draeger Simplex or something like that. What about the MG42? Just for people making comments, it makes sense if you type a proper comment in, not just like a one-word comment. Any idea what sort of connector it has, Chris? Because I've never even heard anything about this, because I know a lot of people struggle to get the Finnish-style canteens. But the interesting thing is the M98s, if you get the ones that use a drinking adapter, it uses the same adapter, so that's an easy way of getting it for those. But again, if it might be a completely different one for the Fushida, because that's Swedish rather than... I didn't see a previous thing, Spy PL, but if you can just get the Rhino style one, see the whatever they're called, see the one that's on the East German helmet, you can pretty much fit those to any helmet. So you can put the night vision there, and then you just essentially clamp this onto any helmet. Andrew, I can't recommend Blades and Bows, unfortunately, anymore because they've closed. Merlin Archery has a few crossbows. But I'd recommend just getting a good quality, sort of mass-produced one. As in, don't bother going for anything like Excalibur or any of those. Just go for a, like Mankung, Polang-style Chinese Taiwan sort of crossbow. Just get one of their better-made, mass-produced models and just see if you like it. If not, you've not wasted a lot of money. Ah, that's interesting, Chris. But yeah, I don't know, but for some reason, loads of people have said that the Finnish-style canteens are really hard to get, and I don't understand that either, because I've never looked for them individually, but it seems like one of those things you wouldn't think would be too hard to get. And I got one unintentionally without even trying, just because the M98 came with one. Depends completely on the type of German one. Oh, a World War II one. Probably a few £100, depending on condition. But the easiest way to tell how much stuff like that costs is just Google it and see what they normally sell for. Let's have a look, Richard. I don't know. I'll have to Google them. DNA Leisure. It seems to be. It's not said they're closing due to big flash ups all over the screen. And then Crossbows, Archery, Crossbows. Let's have a look what comes up. Yeah, they've got quite a few on here. There's another one that looks pretty much like the Redback, but isn't called the Redback. There's a zombie crossbow on here. I wonder if that's technically an illegal weapon in the UK because of our stupid laws. But there you go, for the people who are interested. The site Richard just recommended. Yeah, they've got some in. So see like the $74.99 Jaguar one on there, the £175 black Jaguar crossbow with 4 bolts, that one. If you got one of those, you could then put whatever draw weight prod you wanted in it, that's the full-size rifle prods, and just do anything with that. Because that is a very good sort of frame for a crossbow. Although the Panther one that's on the next page, I think, is like the more modernised design, isn't it? But the one that's called the Legend is pretty much my MK400 on here. That Hawk of the Forest one's on there. Yeah, I guess they're on the next gen of Jaguars now. Because as far as I'm aware, like the Jaguar sort of ones, the one I've got, I guess, is the 2nd gen one. Because my very first crossbow was like the even older design of that, which is a lot more like kind of skeleton framed. Am I right, Grapes? What, so is it a lot of the ones that are sold are just sold without that? That's sort of interesting. That's the one I actually use as a regular water canteen at this point. I think I've got like 3 in the drawer, Sad Putin, but I've never really practiced with them. So I have no idea. I assume they're in the drawer with all the other knives down there, but I've not used them in ages and I'm not going to go dig them out now. I still get some really stupid comments though on like the zombie knife type videos where somebody says things like, kitchen knives can't hurt people because they're not strong enough. I think what a load of people fail to grasp is that if you get a really big sharp kitchen knife, it doesn't need to perfectly butcher somebody as though you were like trying to really cleanly butcher a animal carcass. It's literally, you can be stabbed to death with it. It's like how somebody can beat you to death with a blunt object, or kind of hack you to pieces with a rusty machete. The thing is, if somebody's intending to kill you, they don't need to do a really clean professional job of it, which really surprises me. It seems that some people seem to think that, like, oh no, if somebody used a kitchen knife on me, it would just snap as it touches the skin. Yeah, exactly. Screwdrivers can be used to fatally stab people. And yeah, I don't want to sound like I'm giving people advice on this, but it just astounds me sometimes when you get comments like people saying, no, the government is really right to restrict a certain type of knife because it's impossible to kill somebody with a kitchen knife. I actually had a guy the other day say on a video, and don't forget to like the stream, everybody, because it says there's 35 people on. So if those people that have come on haven't liked yet, like it, I think the like ratio will be higher than the current viewers, which would be good. So thanks, everybody. But yeah, I had a guy saying he was a butcher. And he's like, you don't understand that regular kitchen knives wouldn't cleanly cut up a person. Well, they don't need to cleanly cut up a person. If somebody's trying to stab you to death, they don't necessarily need to expertly butcher you. But no, I've already said to you before, the CT12 and S10 are not the same masks. Yeah, Rufus. It's just where I've been getting a load of comments recently where the UK government does that really weird kind of, we need to ban something that's not related to the problem just to make it look like we're doing something, where you get people who apparently know a lot about something and then they say it would help. And yeah, if somebody's saying they're a butcher and they work with like knives for a living, and then they say, a kitchen knife wouldn't be very good for stabbing somebody to death because, it's not that strong. Oh, it completely depend on the type of knife, wouldn't it? And it's not for cleanly dissecting somebody. Yeah, I've got the shirt on under here, but that's just because it was one I bought when I was in Poland for like £5 equivalent of Swati or Zloty, however it's pronounced. So yeah, probably like 20 Zloty, 25 Zloty. And yeah, I was saying when people are asking why have I got it on earlier in the stream, because it was a clean t-shirt, so I put it on. Well, the thing is, I'm sure a lot of people in the Red Army, when they try and make a comment, always claim to be a professional in whatever they're trying to make a comment on. Because I've had people say they are like NBC trained, whatever that means. Did they go to university and study nuclear, biological, chemical warfare? Do they mean they're in the army doing it? And they'll basically say whatever their opinion is right because they are trained in the subject. Well, what do they mean by trained, first of all? But you get a lot of comments like that, don't you, where somebody will kind of say, I am an expert at this, therefore I think it's where they're trying to just validate their opinion. The thing is, I completely get people having different opinions. That's absolutely fine. What I do not get is when people basically just want to start insulting you randomly in a comment because you have a different opinion than them, and they think they're going to convince you by essentially insulting you. Yeah, I've said about that on videos before, Sad Putin, but it's not for police action, so, think of that what you will. I've done a video like that before, Webster, if you look up on it. But yeah, because I've already had Australians commenting on that video. But the thing is that I'll have to stress, just because some people say I'm trying to give people bad advice unless I explicitly state it, is that obviously a respirator will not, well, like a gas mask filter respirator will not protect you from carbon monoxide, or provide you with oxygen, air, so you do, if you're in a really bad situation, you would need like a firefighter's setup. But in terms of, particulate filters and basic filters will stop you, choking on a lot of smoke and stuff like that. I've played a bit of it so far as a Power Sam. I've not got all that far into it yet. It's one of those games I keep meaning to play more of, and I'm just keep thinking I've not got the time to dedicate to it at the moment. Doesn't remind me of scuba gear. Again, Isaac, that's not really a valid question. There's so many masks that are all right. But yeah, that's fine. So it's just because when I don't say that, you get people saying I'm trying to get people killed by giving them advice where they'll suffocate. But yeah, but basically, any of your kind of cheap half-face respirators, not like the little crappy dust ones, but like the proper half-face ones, like the 3M style ones, any of those. What I've noticed personally from working when you get smoke from stuff is that you kind of want a vapor filter on there as well as the particulate filter. Because I've noticed sometimes if I'm, burning stuff and I've got a respirator on, if I'm only using the particulate filter, although a lot of the smoke is getting caught by the particulate filter, a lot of the, horrible smells still come through and still kind of almost make you cough a bit. So I think if you had at least, an A1P3 filter or an B1P3 filter or, A2, P3, one of those, that would work a lot better just because it's going to stop you kind of choking on anything arid coming through. Or acrid is probably the right word. But yeah, thank you, Webster. What did you say, Richard? Because I thought because you're a mod, you can make comments and it always lets them through. I don't know what that means. What year did the Draeger mask CIM? If you mean what year did the Draeger Simplex come out? I think that was the 1960s, but I'm not actually sure. It was either late 50s, early 60s. At the moment, I'd say we're probably moving further away from totalitarian government, but don't bring up politics. That's a warning. Oh, that's right, Shebus. But yeah, don't bring up politics because people seem to always love bringing it up, even when they're asked not to discuss it. When people say, why don't I have a FAQ at the bottom, like I used to, because people would look in the FAQ, look for things they weren't meant to talk about, and then keep bringing them up. Favorite NBC suit? Well, if you watched the video on my like homemade NBC suit, that would probably be my favorite, just because I find it the most practical. In terms of like pre-built NBC suits, my best one I've got at the moment would be, I was looking for it down there, but I think I've got it put away quite tidily at the moment, would be my Polish, is it the Fu one it was called, something like that, which is a bit like a British Mark IV NBC suit, just slightly higher in quality and more modern. That's in the Polish, like woodland camo. That's a pretty good one in terms of it's both comfortable and, does up pretty securely. But as I've said before, I personally prefer the more rubberized NBC suits anyway, just because I trust them a bit more, because they don't really expire like the fabric ones that are impregnated with charcoal do. Well, what have I eaten today? I've had quite a few cups of coffee. I had a pizza earlier for dinner, and I've had like a few biscuity type things throughout the day. So yeah, not particularly healthy, but oh well. What do I do for a living? YouTube, YouTube almost 7 days a week. A full-time job. Well, when I say full-time job, I was in an 8-hour job 2 days a week, 8 to 9 hour job 2 days a week, and volunteering. Well, as I've already said this stream, my favourite gas mask is the Avon CT12. It's not necessarily the best, it's my favourite. And again, I don't want to get into this whole thing of what is the best gas mask, because like as Chris was saying, a lot of people would say the Avon FM53 at the moment, but it's also opinion based, because certain factors will be more important to certain people, just like there's no one best tank, one best gun, that kind of thing. It depends what would you want it for, one best car. It is 27 minutes past 8 p.m. So 8:27 p.m. or 2027 in 4-digit numbers. Probably about 150 dummy, but I've not got a spreadsheet of all of them anymore, so I've not got a proper count on them. But in terms of when people say, why don't you put them all in one video, because there's no room in the house, there would be space to lay them all out and do a video on them. But all at once, that's why I do kind of the country collection. Has the rain stopped now? Just listening to see if the rain stopped. No, I think it's still raining. It's just slowed down a lot. But yeah, it's been really heavy rain earlier. Yeah, but that's because I've been doing the YouTube channel since 2012, and I've been collecting masks for even longer than that. It depends how you mean broken, Sad Putin. If you mean a filter that's physically broken into pieces, well, if you mean broken as in it wouldn't work, then yeah, it's not going to protect you. Worst case scenario, broken filter that's really broken down on the inside, you might inhale bits of the filter, which could damage your lungs. But yeah, it depends what you mean by broken. Hard to say, because I think Hype said they're going back up in price now because they're like not on production runs anymore. But I think they're like less than $100, aren't they, on like AliExpress and places like that? But I've not bothered getting an FMJ08 because I said to Hype, could he get one for me? And you're saying the problem is that they're going up now, so it would make more sense for him to sort me out an FMJ09 for less money. But then I think he was saying at the moment he can't sort one out anyway because there's an export ban on masks from China or something because of all the Hong Kong stuff. Yeah, exactly. A lot of my stuff is impulse bought. That's why I think I need to be banned from eBay at certain times of the month, and as in when I should be saving money, and also banned from eBay after I've been drinking alcohol, because if I've had a drink, that's when my inhibition for like not buying shit goes out the window. No, I've got some vintage Geiger counters, no vintage radios. No, I've only got one like actual military style radio, and that's not even a military one. It's just like one of those mass-produced Chinese ones that's kind of similar to it. Oh, this is very interesting, Richard. I'd love to know what you're on about, but obviously you can't tell us, can you? Because it's YouTube. You found something that is totally banned by YouTube, it seems. No, I've not seen 1917. Haven't planned on seeing it. When it's on DVD or like on Netflix or something, I might watch it, but I haven't got any need to go out and watch it. Well, it's obviously good from my perspective, great, but it means you should still look up a variety of different people's opinions, because you never want to be in an echo chamber, like with anything like that. Because the thing is, I could have an opinion that's invalid, or there are other people's opinions that are just as valid, on like what's good, what isn't good. So make sure you get a diversity of opinions with masks and whatever else. My most comfy helmet at the moment is the what's it one? The one that came the other day. This guy. Oh, there's the Plessy. This one. Yeah, there's quite a few Polish masks. Yeah, there's one of the really awful bad ones behind me now. Porky's. What's about Porky? Isn't Porky's like a sex comedy film, like a really old one? I've not even seen it, but wasn't it like the influence behind all that shit, like American Pie? Or was it something else, like telling porkies as in telling lies? I'm interested now, Richard, but this is the one Peach that can technically withstand 7.62 NATO, but you'd still probably die from the impact. There's a video on YouTube if you type in ECH test. Well, this isn't Kevlar, so it's beyond 3A. But the point is that your head's still not going to withstand the impact. But yeah, if you on YouTube, Peach, type in ECH helmet test, there's a Mike B video where it survives all the pistol tests. So then they do it with an SKS, and then they shoot it with something 7.62 NATO. None of the rounds go through. The helmet is really deformed by the end of it, but none of the rounds manage to penetrate it. Well, I've already explained the stuff to do with expired filters. If the filter's expired, if it's leaking, you risk inhaling stuff that goes into your lungs and damages them. If it's not leaking, it just won't work, really. Because I think the US ECH is technically rated all the way up to 7.62 by 39mm. But, when they tested it with 7.62 by 51mm, it stopped that fine as well. Yeah, I had a guy the other day make a weird comment saying, why didn't I give out all the information possible on the stuff that was... I'm seeing if that pad's in straight or not. I think it is. I think that's just where the strap connects up. Not sure. But yeah, there was a guy saying, why was I not giving out all the information on the chainmail on this thing when I was doing a test on it? And I said, well, the police don't, when they sell these vests as surplus, don't give you a leaflet giving you like complete 100% information on this particular model of vest. Yes, I am, Micus. Because it was a clean one in my drawer, so I put it on. And I bought it in Poland, so I didn't import it. Well, modern ones are, Rufus. If you mean old helmets, no, they were designed to stop shrapnel. But yes, modern helmets are designed to stop bullets. That was the whole reason they upgraded from steel pots to Kevlar and now to like stuff like this. Because, yeah, it's still going to fucking maybe kill you or give you concussion, but the point is you'd rather that than be dead, wouldn't you? Concussion than dead. But you don't want to get shot full stop. It's just like if you have body armor on or a plate carrier, you hope that you're not going to get hit by a load of shrapnel or, whatever anyway, for it to stop. But you'd rather have the armor on, wouldn't you, than not have it on, as long as it's not really heavy. I don't have an SF10. If you could get hold of an SF10 for a reasonable amount, get the SF10 over the S10. But I thought everybody knows that I really like the S10 anyway. Well, yeah, this is about as strong as a titanium helmet, just a lot lighter, no name. But the problem is, of course, yeah, there's only how much strength in the human neck and things like that. Tell you what was interesting, I was watching Hotel Rwanda earlier, because I've not seen that in years, so I thought I'd watch that again. And lots of the peacekeepers in that have British ECH vests on, but in the UN Peacekeeper blue variation, and like the version of reporters wearing blue, rather than... Oh, I've just realised something. that's that's an error in the film, because they couldn't have had not ECH, sorry, ECBAs. They couldn't have had the ECBA vests in like Rwanda in '94, could they? Because only like the regular CBA body armor was out at that point. But yeah, in the film, a load of the UN peacekeepers, including Romeo, what's his name? Like the main one, the main like Canadian bloke who was in charge, the general. It was set in Rwandan genocide was 1994, wasn't it? And yeah, ECBA vests had certainly not come out at that point, especially not in like blue covers and things like that. £250, sad Putin, because it's a brand new modern one. In very, very good condition as well. If I just show you like that, any marks on it are ones I've done on it. So, you know. Yeah, exactly, Richard. Because I said to the guy in the comment, you know, if he wasn't being funny, I was like, wow, this is what I said. All it says on it, you know, is it's knife resistance 1 and it's Kevlar 3A, or it might have been the one that was Kevlar level 2. But you know, the point was that it seems weird when somebody starts having a go at you in the comments, because why didn't you give me like 10 pages of details on the specific armor you were using? No NAM helmets, as in Vietnam helmets. I mean, I have helmets from the period of the Vietnam War, used by countries not involved in the Vietnam War, but not any like either USM-1 helmets or like North Vietnamese Army or Viet Cong kind of equipment. No, I've not got a horse gas mask. As much as it would be cool, it would take up loads and loads of space, and I have no use for a horse gas mask. Yeah, I mean, it's not just exclusive to the armor, though, is it, Richard, going back to that? Because it's like the issue I have with Geiger counters. Like, you get the thing that really annoys me is all the people who go, military-grade Geiger counter. Because this and this are technically both military-grade. Guess which the good one is? It's this one. I cannot believe this is really military-grade, because it can't even go above 1 millisievert at a time reading, and it struggles to get above 400. The batteries last way less than a week in it, whereas the batteries last about a year in this one, supposedly. So, you know, there's all that kind of stuff that annoys me, you know, where people are allowed to put all these terminology on things, but it doesn't actually make it true. I play nearly everything on PC now, but I still don't always play stuff all that much. A lot of the time when I'm on the PC, I'm watching films or like watching documentaries. Yeah, that's the good one, isn't it? If they've got like the pneumatic kind of spike thing, or like, yeah, like almost like a guillotine kind of mechanism to drop a spike onto you know, a system like that to test it. Because the problem is if it's just the quality inspection is somebody going like that, you don't know how strong the person is, like what the surface is on. There was in World War One, so they didn't die. Is there any point in it now? Well, only if you were in an environment where you have dogs that you might need to use later on, and that you think they might be gassed. This is a right. Well, I think the proper name of it is Battle Skin Cobra Revision Helmet, or Revision 2, I think is it. It depends how bulky the M4 mag pouches are, Maxi, but if they're like the old 7.62 by 39mm AK mags, probably not, because M4 mags would be fairly straight, AK mags are kind of sieve-shaped. That's cool. Yeah, I've not got a GP2. I've never actually seen one for sale. Who would pay £30 for a GP5 without a filter? But good on you, I suppose. That's quite a markup. It's called the Mark II helmet, sad Putin. Most people know the Brody World War One helmet. It's basically the version Britain had in World War II that was even cheaper to make. The thing is, it worked fairly well for what it was, which was a helmet designed to, you know, stop your head getting punctured by shrapnel. Out of the GP4 I've got and the Polish ML or whatever it's called is better. But I mean, it depends what you mean. Recommend because they look cool, sure. Would I recommend them for protection? No, because they're so old. But you know. The GP4 is an absolutely fine mask if you want a cool looking mask, because they certainly do look cool. Shims by a mile. Well, that one, that's a VM44, like the last generation of Nazi German masks. It's got paper stuffed in it, that's why the eyes look a bit weird. It's just so it keeps its shape, because when I got it, it was kind of really smushed. But yeah, they're cool masks. I wouldn't really think they'd have worked very well even back at the time, because it's literally a bit of fabric. They've put like a very thin layer of tar or rubber on or something to kind of make it airtight. So it's definitely no longer airtight. Yep, it can, Andrew. It actually has a really cool mandible guard thing, which I might get at some point. Let me get you a picture of it. You know, like where it's got kind of the face shield to stop your jaw getting blown off by a bullet kind of thing. Here's a picture of it. Oh, wait, no, Google doesn't like you direct linking to pictures, do they? Right, let me... actually, I'll tell you what, I can just link you to their website. There you go. But, yeah, see that? It's basically where you can have, like, the bottom bit is made out of the same stuff the top of the helmet's made out of. Well, basically all the helmet. And then I assume it's some sort of bulletproof glass or plastic. Although I imagine that is the weakest part where the eyes are. But obviously, it does give you very good facial protection. But I've only got the helmet bit so far. I've got the cover for it as well, but I've got that off at the moment. Wow, as long as it wasn't property that belonged to somebody else and you stole it, that's cool. It means it could be a serial number, it could have been made in 1981, or it could have been made in 1930. Yep, the GM54, I've still got that. I don't know where the tin is in the house with it in, but I've still got it somewhere. Well, up to you. If you want to get an S10, get one. But S10s are good masks, but don't pay a stupid amount for it. Well, I don't know, because if it's a serial number, it might not be, but I can't magically, you know, by you telling me 4 numbers, know what the filter model is and know when it was made. No, I've only got the M17A2. M17A1s were the ones that had that weird resuscitation system built in that made the mask pretty dodgy, so they took it off for the A2. So there's the M17ABC, which is the one that looks a bit like the like say Polish MP4 or Czech M10, like not the M10M or the MP4B, but you know the standard one where it's just an exhale valve and a voice diaphragm at the front. Then there's the M17A1, which put on a drinking tube and resuscitation system. And then there's the M17A2, where they took the resuscitation system out but kept the drinking tube. Oh, do you mean a Polish MC1? If you mean that one, you've probably got a Polish... what did I say it was called? MS4 filter. So it's probably 1981. 30 might be a serial number or whatever. I don't know which one you mean by the Serbian MC1. Oh, wait, you mean the M1 that's not got the oral nasal cup in? Yeah, it'll be a filter from the 1980s then, I imagine. Well, I don't think there's such a thing as an airsoft gas mask, is there, other than airsoft, like, plastic masks that are meant to look like gas masks? You wouldn't take a real gas mask airsofting anyway. Yeah, I've seen some of those, Peach. I've seen like the 357 equivalent ones and all that. But yeah, as Richard said, the problem is if you could get one without a firearm certificate in the UK, they'd be so low in muzzle energy or like velocity because, yeah, the thing would be too heavy. It's a proper katana, as in it's forged traditionally, and it's a katana type sword. It's not a proper katana, as in it's an authentic Japanese one, but it's not an illegal stainless steel piece of metal, if that's what you're asking. There's videos on my channel of it being used. Cuts very well, especially after Mike sharpened it again. To be honest, there's rarer masks probably than the American Mickey Mouse. It's just the thing is, there's so many masks as far as I'm aware that were like one-off prototypes. Where one was made, they didn't go with a design for like a trial kind of thing, or just like a mock-up of a mask. So there's probably loads and loads of masks that had a kind of serial number designation type thing that never saw the light of day. If you mean the chemical hood for it, I don't have the chemical hood for the M40. I've got one for the M17, and I've got the second skin for the M40, but I've not got an M40 chemical hood. No, the only US masks I've got from World War II is, I think, called the M3 diaphragm mask, because it's generally quite hard to get those masks in the UK. I mean, I know you can get people obviously on American eBay who will ship them, but a lot won't, and then often you get a stupid amount of tax on them. So I've not bothered at the moment. I might at some point look into seeing if there's any really cool masks on US eBay that I can get shipped over, but I've not really bothered at the moment. I've got a bit of a dry throat, so I hope I'm not getting a cold, but yeah, I'll definitely go off when I reach the hour mark tonight. Even though the chat's been quite good tonight for the most part, but yeah, it's just more of a case for me of my throat's getting quite sore, so I don't want to keep talking longer than I have to. What do you mean a hose, Sad Putin? Well, if you've got an MC1, that's 60mm, isn't it? So you need a 60 to 40mm converter first before you can fit a hose on it, because most hoses are 40mm. Well, unless you can spread them online somehow, Richard. I doubt it. But if you mean that one, that is just a really crap Chinese half-face respirator and goggles that are separate. I've just got them together. Yeah, colds are horrible, aren't they? Especially if you get one like in a job where you have to do a lot of speaking. Thankfully, my current job, other than the YouTube stuff, I barely have to talk to people at all. But when I used to work at an Argos, if you were stuck on the till all day, that was horrible if you had a sore throat. The worst gas mask I've got by a fucking mile is the Chinese pewter one, whatever it's called, where it like the straps ping off and it's made from a rubber so soft it folds in on itself. Right, Stug? That's all right, SC. Thanks for the offer, but I don't really need one right now. As I said, I'm at the moment just really sorting out more stuff for Geiger counters and saving my money. Maybe something interesting will come out of that. I don't know. Oh yeah, the GSR is actually a functional mask for the most part. It's just there's a couple of really big design flaws with the GSR, and they had a massive quality control problem with at one point. The pewter mask literally won't work by the design of it, because they've made it out of a rubber that folds too easily for the weight of the mask. It'd be like if you had a car, and like the weight of the car was too heavy for the engine to physically move it, and also the straps are so bad you basically can't tighten them without them pinging off. So it'd be kind of like having a car where the weight of the car is too much for the engine, like the torque and the horsepower to move it. And then also your wheels aren't held on properly, so every time you start trying to drive, the wheels come off. Yeah, I will do in a later video, SpongeBob, but there's a video I filmed on this helmet that's not gone live yet, so wait till the video. Wait till the videos come out. But yeah, there's I'm gonna do at some point this helmet plus gas mask plus the night vision on the front of the pulsar, flipping it down and up, seeing how well it works with various masks. But I think this helmet would pretty much work with any of my masks, not with the chin strap done off, obviously, but because of the liner system, because it's got that cool sort of adjustable liner here, where you twist this, it expands, and you twist that to close it. If that makes sense. So, sorry, it's a bit weird doing it in a mirrored camera view, but yeah, like so. If you've got that as wide as it goes, it pretty much will fit on anybody's head. Even Bart could get this helmet to fit on his head when he tried it, which is pretty rare for him. What, the liner in this helmet? MSS liner. Okay, thanks, Chris. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can list what all the videos are manually, Chris, but I don't know if there's any way of actually getting YouTube to let you see the previews for them, because I think when they're scheduled, it just hides them. Depends what the chemical is, no name, but if you mean if you had an air tank, certainly yes. Because if you're breathing through an air tank, you're not breathing through, actual contaminated air. Well, most post-PASCA helmets that the US came up with had this kind of look to them. Oh, do you mean the merch stuff, Red Army, below? The Teespring stuff. Yeah, that's what I try and price it as, because it's done so my artist, Bart, who's my mate, he gets a couple of quid out of most sales. I get a couple of quid out of most sales because we split it 50-50 because he obviously does all the drawings. But yeah, obviously I'd put it at a price where it's, although with some of the things, some of Teespring's initial prices can be quite high for some of the stuff I've noticed. But the point is, I'm not putting much of a markup on it for the money I get, because I've seen some stores that, will sell the t-shirts for like $30, when I think the default t-shirt price on Teespring is maybe like $8, $10. I can't remember. The point is they're like, they're making like 200% of the profit is going to them for the t-shirts. Well, chromium is something in the filter, not the mask itself, but chromium is a catalyst, probably, I imagine, for ammonia-based gases. Well, most modern military masks do have panoramic lenses. But originally it was just because it was harder to make wide bits of glass without it being fragile. So, you could keep costs down and make the mask stronger by just literally having a little bit of glass that was in front of it. Oh, that's cool. Thank you for letting me know, Chris, but I'll pass up on that. But yeah, that's really cool. But yeah, I'll pass up on that at the moment because I've been spending too much money recently on stuff like this. But thanks for letting me know. Let me just put that back to default view. Oh, I hope there wouldn't be a gas mask that spies on me. I might have to go off in a couple of minutes, actually. I was going to go for an hour, but my throat's getting really dry now. No idea then, Thin Blue Line. Google it and find out what Google says. But I know at the period chromium started getting added to filters was the period when the filters actually then became ABEC and not normally ABE protective filters. And the K is ammonia-based gases. So that would be my educated guess. But because it barely fits my face, had Putin that has asbestos in the inside. Well, I've taken that asbestos out now. But yeah. Cheers, Rich. Hopefully I'm not ill at all. It might just be from talking quite a bit. Yeah. You can get British helmets very cheaply on like UK eBay, especially like the Mark III and Mark IVs, because they were like so mass produced that you can often get them for like 10 to 20 quid each. I mean, not necessarily in great condition for that price. Generally, the better the condition, you know, the more the price goes up. But there's a few generations of British helmet that generally turn up pretty cheap on eBay. Right, yeah, I'll head off then as well. So, yeah, thanks, everybody. It's been a good stream without many irritating questions. We stayed away from politics, at least. I hope everyone has a good evening. I should stream tomorrow, probably about the same time again, I imagine. 8 p.m. UK time. Right, so see everybody. Bye.